welcome to another episode of Nerd Age, where we discuss everything nerdy. My name is Mick, and with me, as always, are my co-hosts, Josh.
What's up?
Corey.
Hello.
And Jonah.
Hello.
Welcome to the show, guys. Today, we are going to discuss the final episode of Moon Knight. So let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Let's go for it. Pretty short.
What was it, like 40-some minutes? 45 minutes?
I think it was like 43 or 45.
Was it the short? It was the shortest episode.
It was the shortest episode.
Which is pretty nuts.
That's like the first thing I noticed. I was like, ooh.
Yeah. And last week we talked about like they had a lot of things to a lot of things.
You can see us.
A lot of things that they were going to have to explain, or I mean, for my sake. So when I saw the runtime, I was like, geez, okay, we'll see how it goes. I thought it was all right. When I get into some details of some things really bothered me. That I just was like after watching it, I was like, why did they do that? I just didn't understand why they did it. Overall, I thought it was kind of par for the course. I mean, I've said this before. I wasn't super invested in this show, and the season finale felt kind of like meh. It wasn't like something I was like, oh, that was really awesome. I was hoping to see some cool action, and I felt like there really wasn't. I thought they really were going to like deliver with the Moon Knight beating guys up and doing all this stuff, and it kind of really wasn't much. And yeah, so for me, it was kind of just par for the course.
So you
kind
wanted
of
to
middle
see,
of the road.
You wanted to see more like traditional superhero type fighting and like that.
Yeah, because last week I talked about how there's only been like 5 minutes of like Moon Knight.
Sure.
And I felt like the action here wasn't that great. I will say something I really liked was the Layla aspect of it. Like when she got her suit, I thought that was like probably the coolest thing. But it's weird that for me, that was the coolest thing
like
in a show called Moon Knight.
Oh, yeah.
Like her suit and her action scenes, I thought were like way better than what they had Moon Knight do. Which I'm like, I don't think you want that, in a show called Moon Knight. You don't want the Layla character to be like cooler.
You didn't see the fine print on the bottom. It said, and Red Scarab.
Yeah. So for me, yeah, it was a meh. I can go into some details of some things as you guys start talking about them, but yeah, it wasn't.
Sorry, you used up your time. You're done now. You can't chime in anymore.
What do you think, Mick?
I really liked it. I was a big fan of the rest of the episodes, and as far as hopefully just season finale, I thought it was really good, really well done. I did have some minor nitpicks. Are we just spoiling stuff? Right?
Yeah, bro.
One thing that I thought was that didn't have that much payoff is that Steven was basically brought back like right away. I wanted some more. I wanted that to mean something, to feel for that more, feel for his sacrifice more, because it was basically, if you watch the episodes just back to back, it's like 3 minutes and he's back. But other than that, I really enjoyed it. Like you said, I enjoyed the Layla, her reveal as the Red Scarab. Her fight scenes were cool alongside of Moon Knight. I liked the interchanging between Moon Knight and Mr. Knight with their fight scenes. I thought were pretty sweet. It was cool to see him actually like using his what are they called?
Drumsticks.
Drumsticks, yes.
Nunchucks.
The ones
Or
you can
batons,
eat, the ice cream ones. So yeah, that was pretty sweet. The Kaiju Fight in the background was cool. Really sweet. Actually, I really dug the design of what's her name? The crocodile.
Ahmet.
I thought her design was pretty cool with her hair like being the croc tail. I thought that was pretty sweet. So
She looked like the alligators from Robin Hood.
The ones with like the hat with the little feather on it.
The little
So yeah, I thought it was pretty sweet. Yeah, I was happy with it. I liked the reveal at the end. Another nitpick I had was the fact that Mark like refuses to kill Arthur when he was like killing the entire time anyway. I thought that was a little weird, but it did like set up for the cool reveal at the end for Jake to do the merkin. So
Merkin.
So it worked out. But I'm hoping we'll get a season 2 or something more with Moon Knight, because I think there's plenty more there to tell of his character and all 3 personas and maybe more. Who knows? But really enjoyed it. That was good.
Nice. I guess I'm next.
Yep.
So when I saw the time, I was like, they're not going to do it right. 43 minutes to get all this stuff sewed up properly and have like lasting, meaningful effect. Nah. And I think that's kind of what happened. Is it felt very rushed for me. When you said Steven was without him, or he was without Steven for 3 minutes, it felt exactly like that. It felt like it had no weight to it at all. And I knew it. I knew with this series of an episode runtime of six episodes, that last episode needed to be really long for it to actually properly convey things and have more meaning behind it. And it just felt rushed. How about I go over the things I liked? I liked the Lockley, or Jake Lockley. Is that his name?
Yeah.
I liked that last scene. I think it was cool. I think it was a little cheesy at the very end, but it was good. I think it was good. And I think they were trying to be like very comic book accurate to a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I'll excuse some of that. That's fine. I did like Red Scarab's, like the outfit and stuff like that. I still get bugged out by the, what's her name? Tawet or what?
Tawet, yeah, the hippo.
I still get bugged out by that. Just like the overly positive
the voice
with dead bodies, and like it's funny. And I think the actress of Layla, she did a good job when she was talking through her. And it was kind of just this awkward thing, but she was being like overly positive, and she's like, "Oh, I'm so excited! I can't wait to tell your dad," and like all this stuff. And it's like, okay, so it was all right. I think it should. Typically, if I would have read that, like what that scene was like, I would have been, it's gonna be so bad. But it was all right. Like the outfit looked like Wonder Woman. They're always going to have those things that are very inspired both ways, kind of a thing. There are just like plot points that bug me a lot. Like, you kill Mark Spector, but his god is like known to resurrect people, and then you like choose to then put the scarab like on his body, knowing that like Layla still exists in this cave, and they didn't ever like, let's make sure we like sew up these closed ends, like these loose ends. No, they just let it like open, and like Layla just, sick, here's a scarab, all right, let's go. And then somehow just like sneaks into this very close knit cult with just a little scarf over her mouth, and I'm just like, okay, all right. Like
it felt like they were missing a scene of her like doing the infiltrating.
How did she do it? How is it believable?
Appeared
So, and this is exactly what it is. It's just, it felt like there's missing pieces, and it was rushed because they only had so much time to do it. And so for me, it just felt kind of like an unfinished product. And then after she infiltrates, then Tawet's like talking through these dead bodies, and I actually thought that was done all right. I thought the actors did a good job, like trying to act like this happy-go-lucky hippo. It's just like, that's a tough ask, as an actor. Yeah. It's like, hey,
what type of direction do you give them?
You're dead, but you have to like
act like a happy hippo.
Act like this hippo god.
hungry hippos.
That was all right. I still struggle with like the whole flashback to, or not flashback, but like flash sideways to like their mental state, like not the lab. What's it called? Like a therapeutic office. Yeah, asylum. Yeah. Insane asylum. I still was just like, do we have to keep doing this? Like, I don't know. It just doesn't. It didn't do anything for me as far as like making it more interesting or anything like that. Because the sentiment around it was just kind of fell flat for me. So. I was just like, let's just move past that. But I get it. I mean, I get what they're trying to do, and that's cool. It just wasn't great for me. the fight at the end, you guys are like, oh yeah, the kaiju fight. It just like confused me. It's like, all right, yo, Amit, you're like resurrected, or like you're here now. And then, oh, yo, we get all these souls. And that means you can grow bigger, eating all the souls. And now she's towering and has all this soul power. And then all of a sudden, Khonshu's just as big. He didn't suck any souls.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was confused. I was just like, how does this work? Are they just doing this to make it look cool? They just wanted to do a kaiju fight. Yeah. That's exactly what it was.
Probably.
Like, that's exactly what it was. And I was just like, okay, I mean, whatever. But it didn't make it like super sick for me. Like, it wasn't like, oh, dude, let's go. Like Godzilla versus King Kong. It was just like, okay, them fighting, does that even matter at all? Like, you know what I mean? Because they were saying they can't be killed. So what's the point of them fighting? The only way you could really kill them is to lock them into a mortal's body and then kill them like they did. So I'm just like, that didn't have any like weight to it. Anyway, I could go on to a lot of different things that I was just, I liked how they ended it. Mm-hmm. I thought the ending was good because that at least leads us on to, even though we knew Jake existed and we knew there was a third sarcophagus or whatever, and like another person in there, it wasn't a big mystery. Hey, for the people out there who didn't like put all those together, I bet they love this.
That was probably a great reveal.
They're probably like, so no, what? A third one? He speaks Spanish, dude. Oh, I will say that another good thing that they did was that then you start thinking about the times that he shut out.
Yeah.
Even Mark shut out, and it's like, oh, that was Jake.
Yeah.
How many times was that Jake? Well, whenever he was ultra brutal,
right, that
was Jake. And so now it's like, oh, well, every version of Moon Knight has their own little power and specialty. Mm-hmm. And in that last fight, things were on fire. Mm-hmm. Neon signs were blown up. Cars were flipped. What the heck does he do? That's so powerful.
What does he look like too? Like,
sure. Yeah. Well, if you look at like the outro, they started doing this triple face thing. Mm-hmm. So there's 3 faces to Oscar Isaac's character. Yeah. And then they also show 2, debatably 3 versions of the
right, because it's kind of like...
It's like a cloth. It's like a cloth thing that goes like this, and it's loose bandages. Yeah. So I bet he's like a creepier version of the ceremonial
I just
armor.
imagine like a Khonshu head. Yeah. Like kind of how he was
like
in the limousine.
Face. It's like a little bird head.
Little bird.
Little bird. Yeah, so that was... cool. I think the Jake part of it is the coolest part. So I'm glad that's how they ended it, and that's kind of how they're leading on to the next season or whatever, whenever they do that. But yeah, it kind of went along the same lines as I've already gone this whole season. It was all right. You know, it was positive. You know, probably in like the 6s or something like that for me, like maybe high 6s. But I enjoyed it. There's some parts where I was like, oh, okay, come on, like the Gate of Osiris. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to the reeds, a field of reeds or whatever. He's like, no, I got to go back for Steven 3 minutes in. Right. And then it gives him his heart. And then all of a sudden he's like, Osiris, you old softy.
Yeah, exactly.
And then for some reason, there's a sandstorm that's like forcing them out. And it's like, I don't know. There's just a lot of moments I'm just like, okay, like, all right. Like, I'm just going to take it. I'm along for the ride. And that's kind of how I had to take this episode. But what do you think, Josh?
I really liked it. I do have some complaints about it. Like, I wish it would have been longer. Like, I think we've all said that.
For sure.
Because even the night before, like, at midnight, it came out, and I was like, let me just take a look, see how long this is. I was like, what?
3 minutes?
3 minutes? Like, shoot. But yeah, I think just giving it more time, especially like the first part of the episode, like, it just feels like, all right, we got to hit our marks here. All right, bring him back. Go back for Steven. She gets in the thing. We're back to the temple. Like, we're rolling.
It's like they had a timeline and they had like plot points.
Yeah.
They had to, and they're like, shoot, we're not there yet. Like, we got to get there quick.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate because I would have wished they drag it out. We get more in-depth moments. I feel like we missed out learning more about Harrow and his backstory. They kind of teased it all around the story, and that's something I would have wanted to see more.
Would have loved to see
even just him talking to Khonshu directly, being like having a conversation, like, because they had before, but it was just the statue. Khonshu couldn't talk back. So I wish we would have gotten a little bit more of that.
Well, I feel like that end asylum scene was like perfect to like take some more time and like get in the mind of him, kind of how they did for Mark and Steven.
Yeah, definitely. So I think that's a little bit of a missed opportunity, unfortunately. And I'm bummed that they, obviously he got killed, but he can always come back. But I'm kind of bummed out when shows do that, where it's like, all right, we had a 1-season villain, he's gone now.
Yeah.
All the buildup that we had for him, it's gone.
Yeah.
Let's start over.
He was good too. That was
he was a really good villain. So that was a little bit disappointing. But overall, I really like. I'm the opposite of you, Corey. I was like, man, she's getting big. It's going to be a kaiju fight. It's going to be sick.
Cool.
And so I was all in.
Like, you don't care. Like, it's so super cool that it's big and epic.
Right, exactly. Like, I wasn't like, oh, what's she going to do now that she's bigger? Like, was the goal to get her like big and exactly a little Mighty Morphin Power Ranger stuff.
Felt like it, man.
But it was pretty. I thought it looked cool, and so I was just like, I was in on it.
I still am so confused why they make these big guys move so dang slow.
Well, it's just
It doesn't make any sense.
Well,
Why
I feel
To
like
an
if
ant,
they,
you'd think they move faster.
well, I feel like
Or
if
they'd just be
they
normal.
make them move faster, it wouldn't look right.
I know. But that's it's a definitely. I mean, obviously, cinematographers have thought of this, and they're like, well, it's better slower than fast because it would look weird.
Right. It's
Yeah.
just the concept of something that's so
But it just
big.
feels
it's
so weird.
Yeah.
Why?
Moving that amount of distance.
Why though? Because if you're an ant right here, I can move like this fast.
Well,
I'm not moving like.
here's the reason.
You know what I mean?
Here's the reason that used
I'm not
to,
like super slow up here.
Here's the reason
them,
it
you
used
are.
to happen is because it was a dude in a suit that had to move really slow, and ever since then it's like, well, that's what it looks like, so let's do it.
Well, that's why an airplane looks like it moves really slow when it's up in the air.
But it's not giant. If it was giant, then it
Planes
would
are
be
giant.
faster. Not that big.
Bigger
Did you see
bigger
how-
than me?
Well, those guys were bigger than a pyramid, so that's huge.
Yeah,
You
and
never
you
seen
can-
the giant pyramid planes that are
and you
flying
can
around?
and you can see a plane. You can see a plane when it is on the runway and it's going fast. It's still moving fast. It's just when
I
the
think the
perspective
answer.
are in the
I think
air.
the answer to your question is physics and math.
Yeah. And I'm no physicist. I thought there was a lot of action that I enjoyed, actually. Like I think Mickey talked about it, them switching back and forth.
Yeah,
I thought that was really cool. And I think
at the
we've
end.
said, Layla's suit was really cool. I'm kind of, what's the deal with Harrow? He got gypped out of his suit. He doesn't have a suit.
Yeah, you
just
didn't get
got
it. It's lame.
He got a
an
cool.
axe,
It's still
I
cool.
guess.
His axe was kind of cool.
yeah. He's still
But
wearing
he
his
didn't.
red jumpsuit.
He didn't have really any cool suits.
So my biggest disappointment with the action is all season, or specifically in episode 3, they did the same thing where they were like, he's with the guys and they're chasing him, and then all of a sudden he blacks out, and then he's got the knife in the guy and he's killed them all, right?
Yeah.
They did that multiple times where they tease like, oh, there's a third personality, and they always do the same thing. Steven's like, that wasn't me. He's like, well, it wasn't me. And they're like, and they argue about it. Who was it? And then you have a moment in the finale where he's being held down. He's about to get killed, right? The climax of the fight. And then you go and do the same thing where he blacks out and you don't show any of it. That to me was like so frustrating, because I was like, you could have shown him.
You're saying that's a missed opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah, I got it.
And then they
or
did
show
the
it
same
from
thing.
Layla's perspective.
Right, where he just like is taking everyone out, and she's like, who's that, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't have to be like show the personality, but just show, like, because it felt like it was the climax, and it's like, oh, you didn't show us the best part of the action scene. You were just like, hey guys, we don't have time for this. Have him black out, and then he's did it. They did the same thing. Harrow comes in. All the other avatars come in and they're like, realize, oh, he's the bad guy. Here we go. And Harrow like gets his staff, and like purple comes out of it, and it cuts away.
Yeah, they did that.
And then it comes back and they're on the ground
Yep,
dead.
I was
And
gonna
I'm
say that
like,
too.
why are
Thanks
you
for
doing
reminding
that?
me of
Like
that.
those are the moments you want to see. And then to me, it made me angry, because I was like, all you needed to show was like a 2-minute scene showing what's happening, where's his power. And then, because I hate how they do that a lot of times, they don't think, they're like, we just need him to be able to take everyone out. And so then I'm like, why didn't he use that again later on Moon Knight? Like, if he can do that and take out 6 gods at the same time, then why didn't he do that with Moon Knight? Like, it seems like you'd want to use that.
Seems like they're really weak.
But yeah, those avatars are chumps though.
Yeah.
They're like lawyers and stuff.
Well, but still,
Yeah.
they all have different like, they're all gods, so they all have something. Like, so to me, that was the irritating moments for me. I was like, those are the two things that I want to see as a fan, and you just cut it out. And that's why it kind of irritated me at the end, the reveal, because we already knew there was a third personality. Like, it's not like it was a big, and then he's like, this is my boy, Jake. And he's like, had like a, and he like shoots some mustache, baby. Yeah. And it was just kind of like, I was like, you could have shown in that moment. So that was kind of, I think, my biggest problem with the finale is that those two things that I wanted to see were just kind of like, no, we just did the same thing we did all season. I thought if at any time they're going to show something cool like that, the Jacob Lockley character kicking butt, it's going to be in the finale. And they did the same thing where it's just like he wakes up and the same thing it felt like they did 3 times where he's like, who was that? What'd you do? And he's like, it wasn't me. It's like you guys did that 3 times in the series.
It's like they think the people who are it feels like there's some people. It's like they're really like spoon feeding people, and they don't assume we're smart, or not even smart, just like average IQ. I don't know. I'd like dodge that. They think people are stupid, is what I'm trying to say. The way they're doing it is like, even at the end, it's like, yeah, we know. Like, it wasn't even that epic of a reveal. I still think the fact that like he's homies with him, and it's like, yeah, I didn't really take his power away. That's cool. I like that aspect.
Right. Yeah.
But to assume that people don't already know, and like to save it up like this post-credit scene that's super epic, it's like, well, we're not dumb. Is kind of what I'm saying. So I don't know.
I like the setup. I mean, I like the setup just because it's like it almost puts them at odds with each other. And the fact that he's like still there, they know that he's maybe in there, but that he's still working for Khonshu. That's what I liked about it, because it doesn't make Khonshu a liar either, because I'm going to release you too. Mm-hmm. And so he's like, okay, he kept his word. He released Steven and Mark, but he isn't releasing Jake.
Right. So now Mark and Steven are in the position where Steven was in the beginning of the show.
So I thought that was interesting about it. Whether or not it was, I mean, I'm with you. Like the whole time we were like, oh, there's a third sarcophagus. Oh, he's changed. So it's like, obviously there's
even before that, we had ideas that it was a third one, but I don't know. So do you think that Steven and Mark don't even have an idea that there's a third?
Well, now they do. They have an idea, right? Because they're like, oh, who did that third thing, right?
Right.
Because they're like, oh, who?
But you don't think they had an idea before that when they saw a sarcophagus going, let me out, or like, duh, 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 duh.
This goes back to my whole problem with the whole thing. Where
did he go to school at?
What's
his GPA?
Where I feel like,
where did he go to college?
To me, for example, like to me, it's hard for me to buy that the other didn't know, at least have an inkling of something, or that Layla didn't have an inkling. And so where it also drove me crazy is Mark I'm like, now you're adding a third guy, and then they're going to do the whole thing where it's like, no one knows this is going on. But it's like, the fact is, you did a whole thing where they're in an insane asylum in their head and that crazy and all this stuff. And then you're going to play it off to be like, Layla has no clue there's a third person. These guys are going to go for a while. You're going to go like 3 episodes where they're like, man, this guy's killing everybody. Who is this guy? And then fourth, to me, that's like, it doesn't make, it doesn't,
you're
you're
speculating about a show that hasn't happened yet, for one.
Well, but also it's Steven and like Mark, right? And Mark is supposed to be the master, and he knows everything, but he doesn't. That's the weird thing, because it's like, okay, who did this? Oh, it must have been Mark, is what Steven is assuming. Yeah. But all it would require is Mark to just say, I didn't do that, and them to communicate with each other.
Well, and they've done that like 3 times during this, because he's like, what did you do, Steven? And he's like, I didn't do anything. And
that was on this last time.
No, they do that in the 3rd episode.
The time where
he's like, what did you do, Steven, when he kills the guys? And he's like, it wasn't me.
When they're on top of a roof, I think.
Yeah.
That one where he's chasing.
And then there's another time where something happens like that again, and he's like, Steven, what are you doing? He's like, it wasn't me. And he's like, well, then who was it?
It just, for a person who's struggling with this, you think it would be on the top priority of being like, yo, let's figure this out. Yeah, hey, but there's an empty spot in my memory. Oh, mine too. Oh,
right. At the same time, though, we've seen inside of his head that he's still struggling with what's real and what's not. Mm-hmm. So I think there's that aspect of it.
Mark or Steven?
All 3 of them. Because every time, like you mentioned, like his flash sideways of
yeah,
going into
yeah.
his asylum head, where he's like, oh, maybe this isn't real. Maybe this isn't what's happening. Maybe
Sure.
I am crazy. So I think there's that kind of added aspect into it.
So you're
of
just
like,
saying there's so much confusion, it's hard to like straighten it all out.
right.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's a little bit what's going on. And we've already seen that kind of Steven kind of taking over, like Mark had no idea kind of a thing. So they're working, like there's that dynamic going on. There's all the other added confusion of it being like, maybe I am just straight up crazy. 100%. This is all made up in my mind. So they're playing with that idea. Whether or not you buy it, that's a different story.
Yeah, well, where did Jake go to school?
Right, exactly. Where did he get his sick car?
He's a chauffeur. Where did he learn to drive? And no one knew. He had to probably put like 80 hours a week in driving to get
I
that.
don't know about that.
Okay.
My hope would be that we've seen them kind of already establish, oh, there might be something else going on. Why did I do
Something
that?
else?
Something else going on here, guys.
Hey, is this figure it out? Someone else?
Yeah.
That's your character.
Where did Josh go? What's your
My name's
name?
Timothy.
There's something else going on there.
So my hope would be if there is a second season, that's where we start out, is them trying to figure out, hey, there's something else going on here. What's, instead of, like you said, 3 episodes in and they're like, wait, what's going on? What might happen?
Yeah,
Who
what
knows?
parent beat you to make
Exactly.
Jacob? There you go. Jake.
Jacob. Yeah. I would say at the end, it seems like they figured it out, right? Like Steven and Mark are one and the same almost. They can interchange 100%, 1-to-1 ratio. Seems like they're both existing at the same time.
Yeah.
Like the others watching, they're both controlling the
They have knowledge of what the other one's doing
Yeah.
instead of like having a whole.
So it
space.
feels like if they're at this point in their existence, is that, well, now the jig should be up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if they black out now and they both don't have I'm just hoping that in the next season that they make, that they shouldn't be wasting a lot of time on this, and it should be answered pretty quick.
It should be,
it should
be
just
like
be
more
a
the main
thing.
focus.
They're
of
going to
like,
spend 5 episodes on it, and then their season finale is going to be 30 minutes. We figured it out.
And they're back in the insane asylum, and
Yeah.
3 of them are there.
Yeah.
I actually wish. My favorite thing of the series was the like the archaeology, like Egyptian kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and
cool.
I feel like they had one episode where they kind of did that, where
One or
when they
two,
go into but it was like
Mainly
like
one.
full, when he goes into it and he's like trying to figure out like the tomb and stuff. I wish more of the series was about that. It's the same thing we talked about Loki, where we wanted like the time cops like going through stuff. I feel like I feel like I wanted Moon Knight to be more about that, like the art, figuring stuff out, and it just wasn't. For me, I wish they wouldn't have done the whole afterlife insane asylum stuff. To me, felt like at the end of it, it didn't have like a payoff that I wish they would have just like, well, like they spent too much time on it.
There definitely was a payoff.
I like the stuff they did with, like, it was useful to do the backstory to see like why he became that way.
Yeah.
But I feel like you didn't have to spend the whole time like, you go talk to the hippo lady. She's gonna go here. Like, you got to fight these sand dudes. I felt like they could have been doing more with giving us more horror backstory, stuff like that. But they kind of spent too much time on something that to me could have been done quicker and shown me different stuff.
I would say that I wish it wasn't a refereed like preset game, because like you had a referee, the hippo, telling you the rules of the game, which is balancing the scales. I wish it was a more organic experience where it was just internally in their mental state, and they had that more of an organic discovery of each other and their history and stuff like that, and all that. That'd be cool if there was more of an internal struggle that way, more organic version of that. But yeah, I mean, the payoff was them, finding balance and him sacrificing himself and wanting to go back for Steven, even though it didn't hit well for me and you. I think for some people it did hit better.
Yeah.
It's just because it was rushed for us and it just didn't pay off very well.
Yeah.
I think. But I agree with you. The whole insane asylum with the hippo and the ship. I do feel a little bit of, I mean, it's all artificial, but an artificial sentiment behind that. I would say.
I mean, I get what you're saying with like, I wish we had more Arthur, but the fact that I guess I feel like Steven and Mark and Jake are like the most interesting character. I mean, it is literally his show. So like, if they're going to focus a large amount of time on someone's backstory, I would prefer him over Arthur or Layla. But I get what you mean. I mean,
Yeah, but
we could have benefited for like an 8 episode.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, I think even one episode more, but because I think it's not so much understanding the Arthur character or Haro, whatever, but because he's clearly connected to Khonshu, the understanding why he has that, like, he has like a visceral reaction to Khonshu, like he hates him, and he used to be his avatar. So seeing that, I think, is important because now it also informs.
Yeah, you didn't see it. You were told
what Mark's character is starting to feel also. And so I think that would have been important to kind of see. And that's why, I would have preferred to see that more as opposed to more Layla backstory, stuff like that, because it directly connects to, he was the former avatar. And like he's in episode 2, when Khonshu's talking to Steven, he's answering every single thing that Khonshu's saying and he can't hear him. So they kind of set up like, oh, they had a deep relationship, but then I would have loved to just see kind of a backstory a little bit, even if it's like a flashback to something, or the moment that he decides he doesn't want to be his avatar anymore, something that would give him that extra oomph and push to be like, why is he the way he is? Why does he now want to kill all these people? And bring the scales out. I think that's missing, and that's why it's also a little disappointing that they just killed him, because I was like, man, you have potential to even go back and show that, and they probably still could.
They can, yeah.
Like do a flashback where you see what
season
Khonshu
2 will open up, and you'll see him shooting him, but he shoots like right to the side. It's a warning shot.
Yeah.
He like
still
shoots,
alive.
and then he's like, why is this in my hands? And it's like, Stefan,
Did you do that?
I will bring up the one thing I did like is the conversation between Ahmet and Khonshu about her being like, what are you doing? We want the same thing.
We want the same thing, yeah.
I really like that, kind of bringing in the two different philosophies. It's like, yeah, you do really want the same end goal, but the way you go about it is different. I thought that was pretty cool. And then, last thing I will say is I want to be the Ahmet people. They gave me my favorite phrase where they're like, judge everybody. And then they're like, going around judging people. I was like, yeah, that's me, baby. I'm going to judge you.
Everybody.
have you seen?
I want that role in the movie. Just,
exactly.
all you have to do is shake yourself.
Yeah, just grab them.
Have you seen?
I don't like your shirt.
Have you seen the video? It's pretty sweet, but it's they're like how they wished Moon Knight would have ended, and it's like the scene where then Mark like blacks out, and then he wakes up from
Star Wars.
in Star Wars when he wakes up and he's like, no, and he goes to the window, he's like, no, and then it does like the Moon Knight title. Oh my god! Oh my god, that would be awesome. It was for me, it's kind of.
Let's get a final score out of everyone.
Yeah. Score, and kind of where would you rate it compared to the other shows?
So I would probably give it like a 7-1. I still think Loki, even though Loki drives me nuts with what they did, I think I enjoyed watching Loki more than Moon Knight, but it's probably like after Loki.
Okay. Wrong.
You're crazy.
You say wrong?
Yeah, wrong.
Nice.
Wrong opinion. I would give it probably an 8.5. And I would probably put it at the top out of all the shows so far.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moon Knight, I think, is around. I think I'd put it like 7.3. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of potential there, and for what I wanted out of it, I didn't get it, and that's just on me because I feel like they're not gonna do the standard stuff anymore. I think is kind of the gist of all these series is they're gonna be different. They're gonna be more drama based, and it's not gonna be your stereotypical superhero. Do what's right, wrong stuff. Yeah. So I mean, there obviously is that there, but yeah, 7.3, and I think I think they're all really even. I think the only one that I didn't really enjoy was Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I still think WandaVision was a good series. I think it was very creative, and I actually liked it. So I would hold WandaVision right there with Moon Knight. But I mean, they're still in the 7s, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah. What do you think, Josh?
I'm probably gonna give it like an 8.3.
Nice.
And for me, it's the best, if not the best, one of the best. I think Wanda's pretty close up there. Like you said, Corey, creativity wise, that's really up there. Yeah. And I just overall, I enjoyed it, like from start to finish. Loki, I feel like the last 2 or 3 episodes, there were definitely a whole section where we were like, oh, what are we doing here?
Just the end was just kind of
hooking up with himself,
dude.
and then
dude,
the season finale of with the guy at the desk that just is talking the whole time was like, okay,
yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely I think my favorite Marvel show.
Nice.
So, I mean, I think there would be dumb not to do a season 2. So,
oh yeah, they're for sure doing it. Yeah, I mean, the coolest part of Moon Knight is yet to come. I would say so. That'd be cool.
I would agree.
I want to see what his costume looks like.
Yeah, this was definitely Moon Guy.
Moon Guy.
And then next season's going to be Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get much Moon Knight.
No, not much.
We want more. And I wish that they did more than 6 episodes. I think that's kind of our biggest gripe. But tell us what you guys thought about it. Really interested to hear that, because I think the general sentiment amongst most people is it's likable. I think people like it. I don't know if it's anything groundbreaking or fantastic, but I think people enjoy it. So what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. But yeah, that's it for Moon Knight. See you guys in the next one.
Bye.
see ya.